Yeah. Welcome, everybody, to the newest episode of the Outlaw Nation podcast. I'm your host, John Rocha, a.k.a. The Outlaw. And man, it's been a crazy week, right? Already. It's nuts. I'm recording this on a Wednesday. Tomorrow is the big testimony with Comey coming down. LeBron and the Cavaliers just lost again to go down 3-0 to the Warriors in a game that they totally should have won. So much happening. The Mummy's coming out this week. Wonder Woman is kicking ass. And on the show this episode of this week, we have Dani Fernandez. Dani has been such a cool person to get to know over the last few months, almost a year probably, getting to know her. And I asked her to come on the show so that we could talk about Wonder Woman, the movie, do our review. So there'll definitely be spoilers, and I will make it very clear to you that there's a spoiler happening when we start doing that. So that's the show. That's basically the big interview we have for this episode. That's coming up a little bit later on the podcast. But listen, I want to tell you guys, thanks so much for downloading the show on the SK Plus podcast channel. Hey, take a moment right now, go and leave a review or leave a rating, or they're having me. I need to do better about promoting this stuff, do better about getting you guys to be more interactive with the show. Really appreciate all the downloads, all the love, all the support, all the great messages you guys have been leaving on YouTube, on my Twitter, on the DMs I've been getting. Like I said, I read everything you guys send me. I don't always respond, but I certainly read it. Trust me on that. I read about your stories and your struggles and your fights to get to where you're going. About how which is very humbling to me to hear you guys say that I inspire you to pursue your dreams. You guys inspire me too, right back. So just know that I read everything you guys send me. So trust me on this. I'm not lying to you. So anyway, let's get into it. So it's going crazy, right? So what I've been talking about this week, James Comey, all this stuff's been happening. He released the statement today, Wednesday. He released the statement, a 4-page statement about what his experiences with Trump are like. And I know the right's already doing their thing. And look, listen, it's all about political expediency. It's political survival, right? And that's what's happening here. You see the right, they're just talking about how, there's no there. Or Chris Christie comes out and says, well, this is how it's a New York conversation. He didn't mean to be intimidating the guy, these are all just incredibly ridiculous. Even Charles Kraushamer, I don't know if you guys know him, but he came out and he said he thought he was possibly seducing James Comey. The president was seduction. Just all of this stuff that is just so far-fetched and just lunatic. It's lunacy. It just, what's so fascinating about it all is that the simpler truth is the truth, but they are creating these fantastical explanations and scenarios as if that's somehow more believable than the actual truth, which is that Trump tried to intimidate Comey so that he wouldn't pursue this thing. Comey didn't back down. When he knew he couldn't control him eventually, he knew the Russia thing was going to keep going, he fired him. And it has backfired on him like crazy. And all the stuff he's doing, he's coming out saying, I'm going to buy a 60-inch television, and I'm going to have it installed, and I'm going to live tweet it, and I'm going to run a Super PAC ad while this is happening. I'm going to do all this stuff. And he turns this really serious situation, for those of us who respect our country and the laws of the land and how things work in the 3 branches, he's turning this testimony into a joke, into a circus sideshow. And that's what he's done the whole time. He's turned our entire country into a sideshow. And it's just what's frustrating to me, because I served my country for 8 years. I fought for my country for 8 years. I love my country to death, which is why I take it hard on the chin, which is why I take it hard in my heart to see what he's doing to our country. And of course, the other side mocks us and does whatever they want to do. And listen, I'm not on one side or the other, right? I just know what's right. And I think there are a lot of Republicans that see what Trump is doing and go, no, that's not what the vision I had for my country. The question that they run into, or the struggle they run into, is by going against Trump, you're essentially removing power from the people that you support, your Republican representatives. You want the Republicans to be in power. Unfortunately, the deal with the devil is that you have to deal with Trump. And so his base, his support is lowering, and the support for an impeachment possibility is elevating. And I think there's a Democratic lawmaker in Georgia who is preparing articles for impeachment of Trump. So all this stuff, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the testimony. This will be out the morning of the testimony, so maybe you guys are listening to it after you've listened to the testimony or watched the testimony or before. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see what Comey has to say. Now, we heard, obviously, the 4-page statement, laid it out, and he told us specifically how he felt. And he said that, there were things that came out that he like asked Sessions to stay in the room with him because he felt like Trump, he didn't want to be alone in the room with Trump. And yet, here it is. This whole thing with the dinner was, he initially invited Comey's family, and then it was just Comey. And then after that, like, he was alone with Comey. He contacted Comey 9 times in 4 months. And Comey made it clear that he talked to Obama twice the entire time that Obama was in office. What does that tell you? So it's just, there's all this kinds of things that Trump runs things his way. Now, he definitely, listen, you can't say anything negative about that. He definitely does it his way. It's just not correct, and you can't play stupid. Like, this is the thing that they're doing now. Some of the people on his side are like floating this idea that, well, he didn't know. He's not a political, experienced political guy. This isn't, he just didn't know. Well, don't crow to me about how smart you are, how intelligent you are, how you're going to change everything in Washington because you know how things work better. Then when you get there, you don't even study the thing you're trying to fix. That's the thing. You can't walk into a situation not having studied the ins and outs and the nooks and crannies of everything that it's involved in a situation like that, and then tell me you're going to change it somehow. Because if you don't understand how it works from the inside out and from the outside in, then how the hell are you going to fix it? You're just going to be ignorant. You're a blind man in a dark room fumbling for a light switch, and that's not what our country needs. This is not about against Republican or for Democrat or vice versa. This is about, we need someone who is intelligent, who is not an immature, spoiled baby child who needs to constantly get his mamadera, as we would say in Spanish, his bottle full of warm milk in his mouth. Like, it's just so frustrating to see this happening to my country, our country. It's just so frustrating. This is not the way it was supposed to be. So we'll see what the testimony, we'll see what Comey says, if it leads to impeachment, if it leads to these obstruction charges, which I think is pretty obvious that he was trying to obstruct Comey. Okay, come on. Because listen, if you just know, if he's putting that much effort into trying to meet with this guy constantly and then try to get this guy to get off Flynn's back and to make the Russia stuff go away, it's all ridiculous. And then you watch the interview Putin did with Megyn Kelly, which was so ridiculous, because Putin is just like totally playing her like a fiddle. And no offense to Megyn. Look, Megyn has established herself. She's a news reporter. She's very successful, making her money. She writes books. She's got all this stuff squared away for her life. And, of course, she's being a bit hypocritical when she's on her news cast saying, like, can't we all just get along, when she's the one that, like, completely fostered those kinds of arguments and dissension and fights on cable when she was on Fox News. She fomented that stuff. The Jesus is white bullshit, the Santa stuff, there's only white Santas, all of that crap that she instigated and fomented but she was given the marching orders by Fox News and Roger Ailes and whoever was in charge at that time to do those kinds of things. You can't turn around and be on NBC and all of a sudden you're like this, the angel or whatever. Get out of here. That's why I respect Tammy Lauren. I mean, Tammy Lauren, I think she's so wrong on so many things, but at least she's consistent in terms of, like, she speaks her mind and she's consistent with her logic. And that's important. She's probably wanting the attention, wants the money, wants the job, whatever. But she's consistent with her thoughts. As much as I hate Ann Coulter, but Coulter is consistent. So what you get with Coulter. Like, you're not surprised, right? The thing that's nutty about Trump is that he's trying to play like he's this really caring about the country and caring about the people. He could give 2 shits about a farmer in the middle of the country. He could give 2 shits. He's a spoiled billionaire baby from New York. He has no clue what it's like to do an honest day's work, to go down in the trenches and try to feed your family, not call in sick because you got to go to work, because you got to put food on the table. You got to put your kids through college. You got to buy them clothes. Maybe maybe one Christmas present you can get them. He has no concept of what it's like for people who have struggled their whole lives just to stay alive in this country, just get ahead in this country. Everything was handed to him, and there's the difference. And so that's one of the many reasons why I don't respect him. So we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. So, all right. So, and then, like I was talking earlier, real quick, the NBA Finals. I initially thought about having Matt Nose come back on to talk about the Warriors Cavs series, but it's not over yet. I think we'll do a post-mortem on the NBA Finals maybe next week if Matt can come on. We'll do a quick one for like half an hour talking about the series and what happened and what happens next for the Cavs and the Warriors in that kind of way. So we'll see what happens. But like LeBron and Kyrie played their asses off. They played their asses off. They did everything they could. Kevin Love did some great defensive work. Kyle Korver had moments as well. But the Cavs players besides LeBron and Kyrie went 9 for 36 in Game 3. 9 for 36. That is not a good thing. Those are not good statistics to have. So to me, it's an unfortunate situation. I was hoping we get a 7-game series. I really thought that they would figure out how to play this Warriors team in a way that no team had played them all year, and they certainly tried in Game 3 to change the momentum, change the tactics, change the movement, change the lineups, but to no avail because they either ran out of gas at the end or they just called some really dumb ISO plays that just did not work. The passing and the cutting inside that they've been working through most of the game kind of abandoned them in the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, and they just lost. And I don't want to hear any crap about LeBron. Look, you can make any case you want to make about LeBron, whether he's the greatest of all time or not the greatest of all time. He's in the top 3. Like, you just can't deny that. You don't take a team to the finals 7 years in a row. Like, that's just not possible. That's pretty amazing. Take teams to the finals for 7 years in a row. So it's like the guy is he's one of a kind, And so whatever you want to say, whatever your issues are with him, they're personal. They're certainly not about his accomplishments because you would kill to have someone like LeBron on your team. Don't lie. So we'll see how history remembers him, especially after this series and how they react. Because this is not on him. He almost had another triple-double last night. He was 1 assist away from a triple-double last night. That would have been 3 triple-doubles in 3 games in the finals. I don't think it's been done by anyone ever. So it's fascinating to see how hard he's playing, and people just seem to want to just jump on him and make it his fault, as if the Cavaliers are like the equal to the Warriors in terms of talent. The Warriors should be winning this thing by like 20 points every game. They have 4 All-Stars. Give me a break. David West coming off the bench. Livingston used to be a fantastic player coming off the bench. Andre Iguodala coming off the bench. Like they've got great firepower coming, and they have 4 All-Stars in their starting lineup. So you damn right you better win. So, for anybody trying to say this is some kind of equal matchup and then, LeBron's, not doing it or choking, it's just stupid. That's ignorant. It's ignorant. You don't know basketball. You just don't know basketball. You can't say that shit and say you know basketball. It's just bullshit. All right. Anyway, that's that about that. So this Friday, The Mummy's coming out. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to see it with a couple of friends of mine, with Mike Vogel and Shannon McClung. We're going on Friday afternoon. We're going to see it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm a massive Tom Cruise fan. I know people have issues with Tom Cruise. I respect that. People having issues with Tom Cruise, him jumping on the couch, his Scientology stuff. Yeah, it's all kind of weird. Everything outside of his acting, outside of the work he does in film. But you can't deny his dedication to the stuff he does. When you watch him in behind-the-scenes footage, when you watch him when he's talking about the stuff he's creating, he's just really... This is a guy who loves to act, loves the craft, loves filmmaking, and he really dedicates himself 1,000% to it, And so, to me, I like that, and I like his energy. I like his dedication. I like that in films sometimes he's not always the hero, especially in the Mission Impossible films. It's not. He does save the day, but he's not always like just always doing everything right. Other people have to come in and save him. Other people have to come in and step up, and I think that's so important, especially in Mission Impossible 3, where Michelle Monaghan did a lot of the work to save him after he'd had that thing explode in his head. So fantastic. Just brilliant stuff to be able to play those kinds. Because a lot of movie stars who are action movie stars don't want to surrender the spotlight in their own films, And so I like that Tom does that. So we'll see what happens with The Mummy. The reviews from some of the people have not been great, and then other people like it. So we'll see. Like some of my fellow colleagues, Sacha Pearl Raver liked it. John Campia liked it. Perry told me it was okay. So enough people enjoyed it that I think we might have a good time. And it's starting the Dark Universe. Somebody did a great tweet where they said, "Yeah, Dracula Untold starts the Dark Universe." Oh, look at the reviews. No, The Mummy starts the Dark Universe. Oh, look at the reviews. The Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah, that's going to start the Dark. So hopefully this. I go see it and I'll enjoy it, hopefully, because I want to have this universe created, because I was such a massive fan of those films growing up, of Frankenstein and Dracula and the Mummy and Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and the Invisible Man. I loved reading all those stories, and then also getting into the dark universe of that time, and I just massive fan of this. And I was a massive fan of Penny Dreadful because of that series on Showtime. If you didn't watch that, you missed out on, and you like this kinds of things, you missed out on a really awesome series. Go back and watch. I think it's on Netflix or one of those channels, and you really enjoy it. Let's see, what else can I talk about? It's been a fun week. It's been a crazy week in my life personally. Like, I recently, I've been studying this Buddhism stuff for the last couple of months. And I've been chanting with my friend. My friend from work kind of got me into it because she's been with me through the struggles I had last year, and just really nursing me through some moments that were tough earlier this year. She was amazing. We had lunches, we had conversations at work, we would talk over text, we'd have lunch, just such great stuff. And she was so amazing. And a couple of months ago, we were having lunch at Marina Del Rey. She mentioned her Buddhism stuff again, and I asked her, because she's not one of these people you'd normally think of as a typical Buddhist. Like, she just, she's got her emotions, she's got her feelings about life. She's definitely speaks her mind, cuss words and all. And so I was interested to see that she was a Buddhist. I was like, well, what kind of practice is this? And she said, well, if you're interested, you can come and just kind of sit in on a chair. And I went, I think the following week on a Monday or Wednesday night, and I sat down and I chanted the chant with everyone there. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I chanted that with everyone, and I really just got, it just felt, I felt connected to it. That's all I can explain is I felt connected to it. I still believe in God and Jesus Christ. That's still very much my faith. But the Buddhism is the chanting, the contemplating of the world, how we must be in service, those kinds of things. Just really interesting concepts to explore. And for me, I found that it spoke to me, and the more I chanted, the more I felt that it felt right. And that's all I can tell you. And I think we all have those moments when we know something is right for us. It was certainly right for me, and I enjoy doing it. And so I received my, after 2 months of doing the chanting and exploring it more and really getting into it, I decided to get my Gohonsen, and I bought my Butsudan, which is this amazing wood, wood thing that you buy, and you hang the scroll, which is the Gohonsen. You hang the scroll in there, and then you chant. You ring the bell and you chant. You do the morning prayers, do the evening prayers, and it's just really soothing for me. It's really calming for me, and it's the next step in my growth as a human being. Like I talked to you guys last year. Like, I survived the suicide stuff, the suicidal feelings. Those have not come back in months. I climbed out of it once I did the work and focused on what I needed to focus on. And I had a guy who was tweeting at me and sent me a DM about helping him. Like, what did you do? So maybe I can make a quick thing. Here's what I tell you. What if you're listening to me now? Like, here's what I did. I did the work. I surrendered myself to the therapy. I was willing to go deep inside. I was willing to take the hits and suffer through the days of feeling like shit about myself because of the mistakes I'd made, the decisions I'd made, the people I'd given my heart to who I shouldn't have given my heart to, or the people I trusted who I shouldn't have trusted. I had to go into my own shit and kind of figure it all out and not blame everyone else and focus on me and see what I could fix. And I did the meditation podcast, which really helped me on the really, really bad mornings. I would recommend that again. Find a podcast or find a meditation practice that works for you. Meditation really, really helps. And you can do it all day, every day if you need to, in the moments where you can't do it. Breathing really helps. And by that I mean, when the suicidal feelings are coming on, or when the feelings of like overwhelm come on to you, just breathe, just inhale, hold it for a second or two. Breathe out, hold it for a second or two, and then repeat. And you find that once you control your breathing, you'll start to feel those feelings dissipate. It takes time. It takes practice. Nothing's going to happen overnight. That's the thing I tell people all the time. Like, there's no solution to it that's going to do it like, overnight you're fixed. No, it takes time. And if you're willing to do the work, and you're willing to do the therapy, and you're willing to put yourself out there, and don't do it half-assed, because if you do it half-assed, then don't come tweet at me and complaining about why it doesn't work, or why you're back in your same situation. You got to do it full on. You got to dedicate yourself to it. No different than the gym. No different than going to work every day. You may not want to go to work every day, but you go because you got to pay rent. So this is the same thing. You're paying rent on yourself, on your life, on your soul, So that's what I would say. Like, listen to what you need to listen to, focus on what you need to focus on, and climb out of it. So anyway, the Buddhism stuff is the next step for me, and it's really great, and it's something that I feel very connected to, and so I'm exploring it more and more. And I am not a Buddhist. Like, I am figuring it out. It's a practice that's a lifelong practice. So who knows if sometime down the road I feel comfortable calling myself a Buddhist, but at this point I'm still just starting out. So I'm enjoying it, I'm learning it, I'm exploring it. It feels good to me, and so we'll see where it takes me. But it's another step for me climbing out of the stuff I climbed out of, and I feel great, and I want to share this story with other people, and hopefully there'll be a situation down the road where I'll be able to speak to people and kind of guide them out of these things and talk about my experiences and show them that you can climb out of this. There is a way out. And so we'll see what the future holds. The other thing is, the Cinephiles is really doing well. We launched a Patreon page. So if you like the Cinephiles, please go to, I think it's www.patreon.com/the Cinephiles, and you can donate. There's a lot of great rewards, a lot of great prizes we have on there for people. Like, we'll give you a shout out on the podcast, or we'll do a movie that you picked, as a thank you if you commit to pledging a certain amount for the next 6 months. So there's all kinds of stuff. And of course, we're going to have more and more guests come on. So we'll do extra Q&As with those guests where you send in some questions and they will answer those questions that you wanted to have answered. Any number of things will be coming down the pike for you guys who are going to be patrons of the Cinephiles. So that's happening as well. Let's see. The Schmodown is ramping up. It's June. We're going for the tag team titles. And on July 4th, I'm fighting that triple threat match. Independence Day, July 4th. I talked about Outlaw 2.0 last episode, and that's what's happening. Changes. If you noticed, I'm not on the Movie Trivia Schmodown page as much. I'm not like instigating stuff with people about the Schmodown stuff. Just not yet. Like, my whole attitude is changing towards the Schmodown, and it had to. Like, that was the first season for me. Like, that was my first season as the Outlaw. This is the second season. And, you have to make changes in the off season. The second season, you have to have better storylines, more fleshed out universe, more things to explore, more new characters to be in your life. So we'll see what happens. Come down the pike. So I'm ramping up. I've been taking a lot of movie trivia quizzes. I've been doing all that stuff I need to get ready for the Schmodown. I'm psyched. I can't wait to do this thing. All right. Well, as I said earlier in the beginning of this episode, I was very happy to be able to sit down with Dani Fernandez, who you guys know from a number of things, from Hyper RPG, from Geek and Sundry, from any number of, and she's written on a number of shows before. So she's an incredible actress, very funny lady, and I was very happy to talk to her about Wonder Woman because I know she was a massive fan of Wonder Woman, and I wanted to bring someone on to the show who could review the film with me and talk about her experiences with the character of Wonder Woman, what it was like for a woman to see Wonder Woman, to see this, who had been a lifelong fan of Wonder Woman, and have it breaking down. Of course, we talk about her career a little bit, and then we get into it, and we talk about other things because we're naturally going tangents, and that's just so much fun. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview. It's coming up next, right after this musical break. Welcome, everybody, back to the Outlaw Nation podcast. You guys know every week I try to have a guest on the show that brings a whole new perspective or brings a perspective different than mine on a certain subjects or certain movies or geek stuff or even politics, which will be coming down the road. But this week, I thought, who better to have on the show to talk about Wonder Woman the movie than one of the most intelligent, talented, driven
Keep going.
Funny, attractive, charismatic, pushing the boundaries,
breaking out the thesaurus,
everything possible you could also want. But like, I was like, who do I get on to talk about Wonder Woman film? And I thought, who else better than Dani Fernandez? So,
thank you for having me on. I feel like my followers are like, could she possibly tweet anything else about Wonder Woman? And the truth is, yes, I can.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers had sent me this like box the day that the movie officially came out. They like sent me this box of like apparel and posters, and I was like, I literally thought that I had owned. I honestly was like, I thought I owned everything from this movie, and I guess I don't. Yeah, she's my. But you know what? I feel like I'm a nerd in that the things that I love, I know everything and geek out about.
Yeah.
But I can't be, I feel like a lot of times, you probably get this from being on the movie and TV shows, that people expect you to follow everything. And you just can't. Nope. I'm like, I also am a human being. I mean, I can't be watching every single show. And I mean, but power to the people that can. I don't know. I also only will devote so much time to something. Right. Like if you haven't gotten me in 3 episodes, I'm like, I can't put in the time anymore for this. Because as we get older, our interests expand. Yeah. So therefore there's more things for us to like dive into and watch and consume. And so we get real precious about our time, so that we like, if you don't get me in for you, I'm glad you have 3. I'm out within 1 or 2. Oh man.
1 or 2, which is why if I really like, which is why.
What is something that has like lost you in one or
Legion?
Okay.
Legion lost me and then brought me back. And
was it from people like, you have to watch
yes,
this?
People saying you got to power through the first 4 episodes. I thought,
why do you have to power through?
That's what they say sometimes.
Can I say, people are going to hate me for this, but I guess if you are following me, that's how I felt about the first season of Daredevil.
Oh,
the first couple of, come on, like the first couple of episodes, I honestly, Rocha, I was like, is this low budget? Like I literally was like, what the hell? And then with Foggy, who I know has gotten better, but in the first couple of episodes, I was like, is this someone's cousin? Like, I'm not trying to shit him at all. I think it's one of those like things where I imagine too that they've only gotten better, their production has only gotten better, and they've only gotten more money.
Yeah.
So I imagine like, you know, when you're the first one to start out, you and I know this, a lot of times in business, you get the script like the night before, like a couple, or there's like changes coming to it, and there's like not a lot of budget, and so the first couple of episodes of Daredevil, I will say the second season was beautiful, and the Punisher is amazing.
I will admit something to you that might make you angry.
Okay.
I never finished Jessica. I got so bored in the middle 3 episodes. Like I was in, and as soon as she let him go from that enclosure that he was in, I was like, they're dragging this out for 3 extras. This is boring.
Do you think it's possible that
I think it's because I'm a man?
Do you think it was because it was opening up something emotional in you that you couldn't? This is what my voice coach says. Like sometimes he's like, people just stop coming because it's like you suddenly find your voice, and you're like, it scares you. Maybe Jessica Jones was how emotionally in touch. Yeah, like she's technically emotionally out of touch, but the fact that she's like a sexual assault survivor who then has to confront her, abuser, and I think it's beautiful. I honestly feel like I heard from most people that is their favorite.
Yeah, I heard that too. Many people.
Luke Cage is my favorite. I'm going to make this real quick before we move on, but I have to I feel like everyone's like, oh, it's too slow. Listen, not everything was meant to be binge watch. And I feel like a lot of times when you're forced to take your time with a show, he also is a very smooth character. Yeah, smooth. And and that is something that you don't rush. And I felt like his show matched him perfectly. And I loved everything about it. In fact, Mark took forever to see it. So I have to sit down and make him, I have to like set aside time. Well, because he's the same way. He has to watch so much stuff that if he's not reviewing it or he's not scheduled to, he won't sit down and watch it. So we've been rewatching it this month, and I get to watch it again. Yeah. And I felt like it moves perfectly. And I feel like a lot of times, anytime someone complains that something is too slow, I think it's because we just want to binge watch it and get over with, and we just want to watch it all in a weekend. And I don't think that was how it was meant to be.
Well, I also think some of us, like, we're all so different, right? And so the things that connect to us with shows or movies. So sometimes, like, I can watch a 3-hour Terrence Malick film. Other people go insane.
Yeah, I get fidgety.
The stream of consciousness stuff throws them off, but I'm like on board. And I think it's all a matter of what appeals to you. So there's things that you will enjoy that are slow to other people, and things that I will enjoy that's slow to you. You're like, I can't do it. So and that's what's so great about all the media that's out now. There's so many amazing television, like Fargo. A lot of people complain that Fargo is slow moving. I love it to pieces. Yeah, because everything ends right on the edge.
It.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's how Breaking Bad and now Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul is very slow, but God, I mean, that's the way it's almost like an appreciation of the show as opposed to like, let's get through everything really quickly.
Right. Needless to say, we have a lot of opinions on a lot of things.
Yes.
So,
but I didn't realize when you were like, oh, I want to have someone with a difference of opinion. I was like, I feel like because we follow each other, I feel like a lot of times we have the same or similar opinions.
Well, different perspective is what
different
I said.
Perspective,
not opinion.
For sure.
Yeah, different perspective. Because I know we both love the film, and we're going to get to the film. But first, I want to let people get to know you. Like, Dani, where are you from originally?
My family is from San Diego, but I grew up in Orange County, and then I moved to Texas, and I was there for like a decade.
Yeah.
And that's like half my life now. So, or a little less than half my life. And so I'm not 20 years old. But I'm in my 20s.
Real quick and I was like,
I'm in my 20s. It's a little less than no one look at my driver's license. And so I picked up a couple of things. One, I picked up y'all. I enjoy saying it. I love it. You guys, it saves you time. But also just kind of has like a familial type of feeling. One of my English professors used it. I was a journalism and then an English major, journalism and English major, and then ended up going into kinesiology randomly.
Wow.
I needed a way.
Kinesiology.
I needed a way to make money. That's exercise science.
Right.
And so I became a personal trainer, and I used to train at my university.
That makes sense.
Training students and faculty. And then I was like, this is way more fun than fucking journalism. Are we allowed to cuss on here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Then fucking journalism. And so
I like that you said it again.
And so I ended up working in cardiac rehab, and I worked at Baylor Heart Hospital. That was not fun. I think it takes a special type of person to be able to work in a hospital. When you work in a cardiac hospital, you get a lot of code blues, which is cardiac arrest. Right. And you have to be a certain type of person, like an EMT or an emergency ambulance tech. You have to be able to deal with someone dying on you, and I just wasn't the right person for that.
Wow.
Like, it was very depressing to be around. And so during that time, though, I was still writing, because I originally was journalism, and then decided that I wanted to move to LA to be a writer.
Yeah.
I got my first job out here at Ice House Comedy Club.
Wow.
That's great. I was working the door. I got to meet a lot of comics there. It's hard to be around comedians and not do stand-up. They will pressure you into doing stand-up. So then I started doing stand-up, and I started doing sketch and improv. And then I worked at Guff, which is a kind of like BuzzFeed and Mashable. Okay. And then I kind of worked my way into TV.
Now with the writing and the sketching, like, were you doing that through UCB? Were you being trained, or were you just like being around the comics? You were like by osmosis.
But then yes, I actually did take I took a Hal Rudnick sketch class.
Oh, nice.
So randomly, I didn't know him at the time. This was a couple of years ago, and he's a fantastic sketch teacher. He will ride your ass. He doesn't let you get away with shit. No. In his class, and so I liked that about him. Yeah. And I love sketch. I love quick and dirty writing, where you don't have to linger on it for weeks on end. Yeah. So
we had him on the Top 10 show a couple of times. He's one of my favorite guests.
Yeah.
Because Hal comes in and totally respects your show. Yeah. Because he wants to be respected when he's teaching, when he's doing his stuff. So he gives back what he would expect. And so it's so great to have him on the show. And I'm sure I'll have him down the line on Outlaw Nation, but like, he's so fun. So it's interesting to see that you learned from him, because you're right. When he believes in something, he believes in something.
Right.
Yeah. There's no like malleability with him at all.
Yeah, he's fantastic. And I've been on, he has a Tournament of Nerds, which if you guys haven't gone to, I got to play. The first time I was on, I was Carmen Sandiego. So Tournament of Nerds is a show at the Upright Citizens Brigade at UCB. And you basically pick a character and then you battle, like roast battle other people. So I was Carmen Sandiego and I was roast battling Harley Quinn. And then what else? I was Roxanne from a Goofy movie. That was amazing. And it was so funny because you end up like going through several rounds, and I never write for any of the other rounds. I'm always like, I'll probably get knocked out the first round, and then ended up going to like the final round. And then Iffy Wadiwe, who's also a comedian and he's my co-host, we this past month were Arthur and DW.
Oh, how funny.
And battled. We beat Nick Munt. No, did we go against Nick? We beat a couple of people. We beat Joe Starr, that's it, and Keith Carey, and ended up going to the final round, and then tied with the judges, and then lost to Betty and Wilma of the Flintstones.
Listen,
but anyways,
it's a formidable foe. It's a formidable duo.
Yeah. So definitely go out there, because it's hilarious seeing these characters like roast battling each other. Right. Yeah.
So you went through Guff, and then you got on television. Now, what do you mean by TV?
I was a writer's assistant for a show called 6 Degrees of Everything. It was with the Fine Brothers on True TV.
Yes, I remember this show.
I feel like it's safe for me to say this. It was a mess. It was a mess, as some of True TV is. I think, this was like 2 years ago. They were trying to figure out. They still don't know exactly what they are.
Right.
They were crime, and then they went into comedy. I always think it's TBS's slogan, like very funny, question mark, like is is kind of hilarious because it's like, what are we? So it was a mess. I ended up also being a script coordinator for that.
Okay.
I was in charge of the script, and it was like birth by fire, baptism by fire, or whatever. I mean, I was just like thrown in the lion's den and had to coordinate all the scripts, and they at the time were working in Google Docs, and that doesn't really translate over to final draft. And I would have like a 5 p.m. deadline that they had to like get this to shoot, and was like racing away, like, oh my god, what am I doing, like trying to put all of the scripts into final draft. It was absurd. No, you cannot just copy and paste. So did that, and then I ended up writing and being on a show for VH1 that ended up there. I have like several things that I've worked on that didn't become anything.
Oh wow! Well, that's part of. But you're getting the training and you're getting the experience.
You're getting the training, but you're not getting the credit.
Yeah, or the money overall.
I got some money. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, you get some money for like pilot presentations and pilots, but when they don't get picked up, and so I didn't get like credits on there. So I think I have maybe like 4 IMDb credits. But I've worked on like 8 television shows.
So how did you slide into punditry? How did you get into like talking about all this kind of like? When did this happen?
Yeah, so I used to tweet a lot about Dragon Ball Z, which is my favorite show ever. It's tattooed on my body. And someone from Funimation hit me up. And for everyone listening that wants to go to Comic-Con, or if you've ever haven't been able to get a badge or something like that, this is my favorite trick to do, is reach out to some of the companies that are going to be there and say, hey, do you need extra help at Comic-Con? Because the answer is always yes. They always underestimate how much help they need. And you know that. Yep. It's like all hands on deck. Oh shoot, we forgot we need a man on the street. We need someone outside, even like handing out shirts, whatever. Hit them up, hit up Nerdist. They're probably going to get mad I'm saying this. Hit up all these companies and be like, hey, do you guys might need extra help? Yeah. Even if a lot of times they'll give you a badge, like a volunteer badge, where you can hop in. But even if you don't, there's so much to do outside, like Adult Swim on the green, and there's so much. And so that's what I ended up doing with Funimation. I was like, hey, do you guys need any help? And they were like, actually, we do. And they gave me a mic and a camera guy, and I went around and just interviewed people on the carpet.
That's awesome.
And outside. And that was my first ever hosting job. And then after that, my name just kind of got put in the hat. Right. And so I started doing stuff with Geek and Sundry. I did a show called Anime Gateways with Xavier Woods. He's at the WWE.
Yeah, man.
He's
part of the New Day.
Yep.
I love New Xavier.
And I love saying, like, I just want everyone to know he is such a fantastic, nice guy, like just the sweetest guy. Yeah. Whenever I run into people who are like just so kind, I always want people to know because I feel like that's not always the case with everybody. Yeah. So anyways, so I did that. I've been on a couple of other shows. I was doing some stuff at Screen Junkies for a little bit, like co-hosting over there. And then now I kind of am at Hyper RPG.
Yeah,
so I have 2 shows over there now.
I'm trying to bust through that door.
You gotta come over.
I'm trying.
More. I swear to God, you know what they do?
Because the team kind of moved over from Geek and Sundry to kind of take over part of Hyper RPG. So I'm like knocking on the door a little bit.
You should. I
love that place.
If you're around, that's the thing, is like they always have an open door.
Show up and
just come and show and watch. Like, see, my show is a Dragon Ball Super after show, but if you came and just watched that, you'd probably get pulled into the wrestling show that's after.
I keep telling the camera to bring me on.
Just here's the thing. Yeah. You come and just like be there. They will pull you in. There's no way, because they always want more voices on. They're always like, hey, come over here. Rocha, you know what I'm talking about. Get over here on camera.
If there's anything I'm not short on, it's opinions. That's true. All right. So you guys, so it's been, because I thought we met like over a year ago, I think, over at Collider.
Yes.
And I remember you were wearing your hook'em horns.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because I'm a massive college football fan. So when I saw someone wearing I was like, oh man, I don't see Texas too much out here. So it was great then that's when from there we started talking about the Oklahoma. We started talking about the Red River Shootout. shootout.
Woof.
And then there we kind of got to know each other
Our
more.
rebuilding era.
Exactly. Although you kept beating Oklahoma, though.
Our rebuilding, yes, because that is our one. I swear to God, like we do a seance before we go out there. That's our one thing that we're gonna. Hey, we are gonna lose all of our games this year, but we're gonna beat Oklahoma. Damn it,
Charlie Strong or not, we're gonna beat Oklahoma.
There is so much shit talking that takes place on my Facebook leading up to that week from all of my high school classmates. Because I went to high school in Dallas, and Dallas is closer to OU.
Yeah,
it's closer
that's
to
right.
Oklahoma than UT is. So a lot of the kids ended up being traitors and going to OU, and there's so much shit talking.
Right.
Yeah.
And that conference is like powerful now with Baylor, with TCU. So it's not a cakewalk anymore for Texas or for Oklahoma.
Right.
And so it's Oklahoma State even came up this year.
It was
really
insane this
again.
past decade how powerful Baylor and how powerful TCU got. Because I think UT kind of underestimated them for a long time, where it was kind of like, redheaded stepsister, smaller schools, private schools.
There's nothing in Waco.
Yeah.
There's just the university.
There's just football.
Really, there is.
Yeah, basketball.
That's quite correct.
And a little Czech stop that has great kolaches if you want them.
Great reference.
The Czech stop.
There it is. So let's get to it. Danny, I brought you on to the show. I asked you to come on the show, rather, because I wanted to talk about Wonder Woman. I saw it twice. You've seen it twice.
Yeah, I have.
I know you've talked about it on other shows, so I'm hoping we have some fresh perspectives and takes because this is a different show. First of all, you're wearing a Wonder Woman shirt now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a Daria, which is a great
Daria,
reference.
Diana, yeah.
That's awesome. I love that show.
Yeah, these are my comfy clothes that I'm wearing.
So tell me, all this lead up to it, like you've been a massive Wonder Woman fan for a while.
Yeah.
So all the lead up and
I was always positive about this film. Okay. That's what might set me apart from other Wonder Woman fans and DC fans, is that some people were like, "Oh, I'm nervous about it." I was never nervous about it. I was never nervous about it, especially when Patty Jenkins signed on. I was like, "This is going to be beautiful." When that first trailer dropped, it was at Comic-Con.
Yes.
I was in my hotel room. I couldn't be I had just got back from shooting something, and I cried, and I watched it again, and I cried, and I watched it again, and I just kept watching it. I'm sure my hotel neighbor, like the people next door, were like, "What the hell is wrong with this girl? And why is she weeping?" It was fantastic. It was everything that I wanted it to be. And so I never was nervous. I think I was more nervous about and I still am, about how other people would receive it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's at the point now where it's had so many positive reviews that people just want to take it down. And that and you and I were talking about this before we got started, that people are now being so cynical and so nitpicky about it that you can't just enjoy this film.
Right. No, people are hot taking it now. And I texted you that when we texted about it over the weekend.
Did, right before
I said the backlash is coming. It's inevitable. You know how this is. Whenever something's over 95%, people got to make a name for themselves and tear it apart.
Do you feel like it's whenever people enjoy something?
It could
like
be.
Seriously, we are such cynical assholes, out here, that I feel like, and that's another thing I wanted to touch on, is a lot of people are like, "Whoa, it's corny," like the love line. And are we doing spoilers?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we should say that. Yeah, we're going to talk about the movie. So if you haven't seen it, I'm going to put a time code at this point right now, spoiler alert, and then when we're done, I will end the spoiler alert, and then I will put the time code on the YouTube thing and on iTunes so you can see. So right now, if you haven't seen the movie, fast forward to right after I say spoiler alert over, and then you can talk about it. If you have seen the movie, sit back and enjoy.
Okay, so I feel like the ending line, that love is the only thing that's going to conquer all, that is Diana Prince.
Yep.
And anyone saying anything different has not read the comics, because she is a loving, compassionate character. And I truly don't see that as her being weak. A lot of people apparently do, like in these hot take reviews that I'm reading. But I also feel like it's because we are cynical.
Yeah.
We are cynical, and our inability to like understand kind characters. We see them as one-dimensional. We see them as weak, and then we want them to be more like Batman. We want them to be gritty, cynical, dark, and that's not Diana Prince.
Right.
And so that's what I've seen a lot of as far as nitpicking is like, "Oh, that's corny," and I'm like, "That's corny to you, and to us, because we're assholes."
But also, what I think the genesis of the sarcasm or the skepticism or that kind of feeling is that people have been let down growing up. Nobody comes out of the womb sarcastic or skeptical or whatever. Like, it's because things were built up, and then you were embittered by whatever experiences, so that you get afraid to believe in something, or you want to pick it apart or whatever.
Yeah.
And so when people are confronted with a lot of people loving something, sometimes their initial trigger is to like, what can I find that's wrong with this?
Yeah.
Because everybody who everybody I don't like can't like something, and I'm going to go tear it apart because they like it because I don't like them, and it's that kind of thing. And people just have this natural aversion to going with the group sometimes. And so they have to pull out. And I don't mind it as long as it's logical and it makes sense. There are holes in the movie or issues in the movie. You can absolutely make that case, but it doesn't take away from the overall effect and quality of the movie. And I think that's really important to understand. So if you're going to do a review that's negative, be
don't
intelligent. Yeah, right.
Turn off your camera and delete.
Especially if you're male, don't you dare. So no, but look, but you're right. They're coming out more and more. So
So here was another thing that I saw immediately after, and I had this high. So when I saw it, it was at the YouTube Space LA, and Patty Jenkins did a Q&A, and right before then we got to see the whole film.
Right.
Some of us got to see the whole film, and I like cried, but I didn't cry all the way because I didn't want to mess up my makeup, because I was like, a bunch of my peers are here and I don't want to cry in front of everyone. Like, I sat next to Ashley Robinson and Jason Inman were right next to me, and Kim Horsher was there as well. I could hear her sobbing on the corner. She didn't care, and she like cried her fake eyelashes off.
Kim don't give a shit.
She doesn't give a shit. That's how I was. Okay, so the second time I went with the crew at Hyper RPG and we saw it in 3D, man, those 3D glasses saved my ass, because I was weeping and I was leaving, and I wanted to tell the AMC guys, like, can I keep this? I'm embarrassed. I don't want anyone to see that I've been crying this. I mean, I wept. I was sitting next to Emma Fife, and I'm sure Fife was losing it too. Yeah. You can hear that, like, as the trench scene is happening, that trench scene when they're trying to stop her, and she turns around with her headpiece, with Antiope's headpiece, and she says, no, it's what I'm gonna do. I just fucking lose it. Yeah, I was talking to a friend last night, a female friend of mine, and she was like, because I encouraged her to go see it because I'd seen it twice, and she said, I don't understand why she didn't help the horses or help those people who wound. And I said, that's story building. Yeah. Her moment to climb that ladder doesn't happen without those guys telling her not to help in those 2 or 3 instances leading up to that moment. So you don't earn that moment where she goes, oh no, that's what I'm doing. You guys can run ahead if you want. It was her last straw. Yeah, it was her last straw. Right. But so immediately after, so I had this high that lasted for a week until everyone was able to see it. And then I started seeing like negative things. And one of them was like, I wanted a Furiosa. I'm going to go watch Mad Max now. And another one was 2 people I saw on my Facebook patting themselves on the back that it didn't affect them the same way Logan had, and how they want like a lady Logan. One, let me just make a point right here. Logan is a character you have had on film for 20 years that you've grown with. Are you telling me that this film didn't affect you the same way as the death of your character that you had for 20 years? Exactly. And also, no, Diana doesn't need to be Furiosa. She doesn't need to be a Lady Logan. We have a Lady Logan. Her name is X-23, but that's not Diana Prince. Diana Prince is a completely different character. And I think when you take away her hopefulness and you take away her, like another thing, I don't know if you saw the Slate article that just came out, but it was like, oh, she's not feminist enough. Yeah, it was. And she falls in love with a man. Falling in love with a man does not make you any less of a feminist. Right. There was also an argument that she's not queer. That is not true. She could sleep with both men and women. Right. It's just this time the clock struck dude. Yeah. It might not next time, but canonically she has been with Steve Trevor or had something with Steve Trevor. But once again, this is a great point you make, Danny. This is people nitpicking. This is nitpicking. Like, why are you trying to take her down? Yeah, they need something to write about, so they do it. And I'm not denigrating these people. They're getting paid. They got to fill. So I'm sure their editor went to them and said, "Listen, I need a take like this. Can you make it work?" That happens sometimes. When you're working for an organization, they come to you. Can you come up with something for this? Because we don't want to just be part of the big fishbowl, and people are just going to lose our review in the shuffle. We want you to be separate in the smaller fishbowl, so that people seek you out and find it and whatever. And whether it's good or bad, it is what it is. But I think people are nitpicking, and people don't understand. What you said is correct. People don't understand the character. If you went into Wonder Woman looking for Imperator Furiosa, you're in the wrong place, because that's not her. And that's what was so great about the Kingdom Come graphic novel, because when she starts to embrace that part of her that she's never embraced, it shocks
everyone in the Justice League when they all come back to be heroes again, because that's not Wonder Woman. She doesn't use her sword to kill randomly. And she doesn't she doesn't all of a sudden become some authoritarian. That isn't Wonder Woman. She's and that's what's so great about the film is you see her journey. Gal, I was not, obviously, and I'll go on the record because that's how we're different in perspective. I did not like Gal in BVS. I thought she was a little too like surface and there wasn't enough depth, and I was worried about the movie. I love Patty Jenkins. I think Monster is one of the most amazing films I've ever seen, and Charlize was fucking fantastic in it. So, but when I walked into the theater rather, sat down, and as soon as it started, just the opening voiceover, I'm like, this is something else. She's bringing some other level to it, and you saw the nuances of her acting throughout the whole movie. That, me as an actor, so completely appreciated and adored her for, because you see her being the young, innocent, naive one, and as she grows, and it's very relevant to women leaving their home to go to a new college, or to go and, like, if they marry someone young, leaving and going and building a life with them. Like, your world is opening up, and you're like, wait, why don't the good and bad that is so black and white as I grew up, why is it so different out here in the world, you know? And it's just, it was great to see her go through that journey, and she played it so believably. Do
you feel like as an actor, I felt like I really appreciated her. I made a comment that she was like very reactionary, like when she wasn't having dialogue. And that is something people don't, like, she has to be having the thoughts of her character 100% of the time. And she was able to do that, I felt like, so much, not only her dialogue, but in a lot of the scenes where you can just see her reacting or thinking or losing hope in humanity or whatever it was, you could really see that in her eyes, and I felt like she did that really well.
Yeah, especially in the scene where they're telling Steve that he can't go on the mission. Right? She's standing behind him and in her hat, and she's like moving left to right with her head going like, what the fuck? And then finally she barrels through and goes, no, that's not what we do. That's not what generals do. Generals fight where I come from, blah, blah, blah. And you see that. And then when she blows up at him down the stairs, it is so much more powerful because you've seen it build from her quiet, from like without saying a word, to where she does say a word, to where she has the explosion with Steve. And when she says, you are lying, like that is such a good, great moment. Because
she's so funny.
Yeah, and it's the breaking also of her connection with him, that the idealism that she has about him. Right. Which is what happens in life, you know?
Yeah.
No one is 100% good or bad. It is what it is.
I do have to say that I love the fact that they also kept her very feminine.
Yes.
Because I don't think you have to be, I think that there is power in being feminine. And I loved one of the scenes that really spoke to me with that was when she was walking by and she was like, a baby.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, because she's still like a woman, and like I've said, like, I feel that she's like Earth's mother. Like, she's very nurturing. She's very loving and compassionate. And like, even when she was like, saw the animals and stuff, and I felt like that was an element of her that her male counterparts just aren't, you know? And then I like the fact that they still were able to keep her feminine, because she is Wonder Woman. Yeah. And I loved that. I feel like this really was Diana, and I can't, I guess it upsets me that people are saying otherwise. And I feel like, do you want to borrow some of my comics? Like, but do you need a little education real quick?
But that's you focusing on those when it's a $200 million opening. I know. And you know what I'm saying? And it's great to focus on those, because you want to kind of have a good conversation.
Yeah, I feel like I take it personally.
Right, yes, I sense that.
This is my sister, okay? This is a family member to me. It feels like my big sister is like graduating from college or something, you know, or getting married. I totally agree. And I feel like that's something that I also do in my career that I'm totally trying to work on and am very bad at. And it is that I focus on the negative. I focus on the negative comments. I could get a million beautiful, positive comments from people and on videos, but it's that one comment that I get that will stick with me throughout the day. And people are like, why don't you just block them or mute them? That's fine. But like, I'm a human, and it's going to sit with me.
I think it's a luxury also for you, Dan. Like, it's a luxury. The comments that women get are nowhere near the level of comments that guys get. Because I say all this time, because I'm 46, so for me, when I don't even read the YouTube comments if they're negative, I can't know, but I know there are people who go deep diving into those things for their
crazy. Those people are named Hector Navarro. Those people are named Hector Navarro, and they read every single comment.
Right. And there's another person too, but I don't want to mention her in case she comes on the show. So, but
Hector and I are good friends.
But people do that. Yeah, no, Hector's awesome. But people do that. And I've always marveled at that because you're courting that kind of, like, you want, like, if you go into it, you're asking to find that one negative comment. And to me, it's always fun. Now, it doesn't mean I don't get affected. Like on the Schmodown page, there are people who leave certain comments that really piss me off. I left the page for a while because people got personal. Right. And so that's where everything changes. I don't care if you don't like what I believe or like bash me for loving Transformers, but like, if you get personal, it's a whole nother ballgame. But like, it's interesting because you have to deal with this extra level of sexism and extra level of like just inappropriate comments. And so it's easy for me to say ignore, or people tell you to mute it, but
it's also easy for my boyfriend to say.
Yeah, right.
Who I love, but I'm like, babe, you just like, don't get. He's fine.
Yeah.
He
just
doesn't
Mark.
get the same. He also probably doesn't get sexually explicit messages, I imagine.
Right.
The way that we do, and a lot of times women, we not only get violent messages, but we get sexually violent messages, and or just like, because I have a Dragon Ball show. I had this kid that wrote me, and he was like, did you have permission from Akira Toriyama to do this show? Like, to talk, I have a podcast about Dragon Ball Z. And then hang on, because then he followed up with, that's the creator of Dragon Ball Z, in case you didn't know. Like, it was like the most underhanded, like, gut punch ever. And then Funimation, who owns the rights to Dragon Ball Z over here, tweeted at him, and they were like, oh, she knows. so anytime that happens, when my friends have my back, is great. But
we see it in Wonder Woman too, when Samir tries to hug her. She's like, I loved the look that Gal Gadot, get the fuck off. Like, it was so great.
Yeah.
It was such a perfect, she didn't make a big deal out of it. She's like, get the fuck off. And it was brilliant.
Yeah. I talked to my friends about this, but we also love the fact that, like, she's a woman who has never been told no by a man.
True.
She's never been around men, so she's not going to treat them any different. Like, you're a stranger to me. I'm not going to listen to you.
Right.
And I love seeing that, you especially saw that in the trench scene, but I love seeing that with Steve Trevor, that she's just like, no, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah. Well, she's
not the boss of me.
She's an equal opportunity. Like, she didn't listen to women or men. Because she's so stubborn about, which I thought was a great character choice to make about her. Even as a child, she's so stubborn to get what she wants and goes for the things that she wants to go for and violates the rules sometimes, because there's a rebellious nature. It's not just men who have the market cornered on a rebellious nature. And so it's great to see that coming out of a female character.
She rebelled against her mother, from day one. Yeah. And I think that the fact that she grew up wanting to, also just respecting human life, like just respecting life. Yep. And that was another thing that we saw was with this film that I thought it made it so precious, was that, like, you saw how much she loved humanity, even though we don't deserve it. Yeah. But you also, each life, like, had a purpose to her, like, and you saw, like, the faces of the people that were killed and stuff, like the villagers. Right. So it wasn't just like a mass murdering necessarily, like, she was actually affected. Yeah,
because she got to connect with them. She saved their village, got to spend the night, and of course, which was really tastefully done, well done. Had the slow dance with Steve, like, she has a memory, a really powerful, loving memory from that location, meeting those people and saving those people, so to then run back and see them all dead. It finally comes, like, the Antiope's death, and then seeing the people in the war, and then seeing this, like, it's all building to that moment when Steve dies, and she blows, and when she blows, that was the most amazing comic book moment I've seen in a long time. Her going through the Germans and the Nazis, or not the Nazis, but the Germans, going through them and tearing them to pieces, and then stopping in that moment when Ares is encouraging her to kill Dr. Poison. So great and believable, because we had to see all these deaths pile up in her mind, so that when she blew, you understood her rage, right? And this was relatable. It didn't matter male or female. That's what I think the movie does so well. It is a female perspective, but it still is a human perspective more than anything else, don't you think?
Yeah. I have to say, though, that scene with Steve Trevor when he's saying bye to her, that's what I will say, the second time I saw it, killed me.
Me too.
Killed me, because you knew. You knew, like the first time it aired, the first time I saw it, it was like, well, maybe he's not going to die.
Right.
But then that second time you see it, you're like, oh, fuck, no, people in this theater don't understand what's about to happen. And I just was weeping. I was a mess. And I felt like Chris Pine also did a fantastic job of of not taking the scene at all. That's why I really don't agree with some of these reviews, because I don't feel like he stole anything from her. If anything, I felt like he elevated her. I felt like he was the butt of a lot of the jokes, was fantastic. I felt like she was able to, even her fish out of water moments were done intelligently. But also that like final scene with him and seeing his face and just realizing everything. Well,
Inman said it best, I think last week when I interviewed, he said, she is better than him at everything she does. He does, but he never betrays the fact that it offends him. And it never does. He respects and admires her for that. And she returns it in kind. You know, in fact, he's the one that is kind of like the what do you call it? Just the foundation of it all, in terms of like, he never changes. Steve is after something bigger, because he mentions how his dad told him he's got to make effort to change the world. And he goes, and I love this throwaway line when he's like, and I already tried nothing. It's such a great just throwaway line. But Chris is so powerful in the movie because of those moments, that he's just this like truth-telling guy, and he loves and respects Diana, so that when he says I love you, you believe it, because he's admired her through the whole process.
I feel like he really appreciates her. I feel like he really appreciates her as a person, as a woman. And it was I was on this other show where these guys like really didn't like the fact that she fell for him. And I don't know.
Why wouldn't you fall for Chris Pine?
Well, that's another thing. Well, it's not like she fell for him immediately. No. And their argument was also like, well, she was following after him. I'm like, no. She was following after Aries. She wasn't following after Chris Pine. Was just going to get her to Aries, but she wasn't like chasing after a man. So
well, she was, but it was Aries, and not chasing after him to be with him. She was chasing after to kill him.
She was chasing after a god.
A guy, right? A god, yes.
But she wasn't immediately like, oh, I'm gonna be in love. Oh, what can I do for this dude? She didn't care about Chris Pine. She grew to care about Steve Trevor, and then grew to love him. And so we as an audience, we grew to love him, so that when he was lost and when he died, that really was a gut punch.
And she didn't know she loved him fully until he died.
I think so too.
Right. And so and that's what's so, because she's still discovering what love is in a sexual way, like in love in a romantic way rather. And and she leads everything. Like when they're on the boat, he's respectful to her. That's the thing. Like people, I don't understand these complaints. If there are, that's the first time I'm hearing this where there's a complaint that,
I'm sorry I brought them into your world.
No, it's
okay. I
didn't
need to. I just was thinking like, because you were like, oh, what else can we talk about?
No.
And I'm like, well, I know these things that people are saying that I want to correct right now.
No, because I can destroy that real easily, because he respects her from the beginning. If you want to know, the number one way to have a healthy relationship with a woman is to respect them from the beginning. If you love them, you respect them, you listen to them, you understand.
Deep thought.
It's true. I'm learning this because I've made numerous mistakes in relationships in my life, and I'm willing to own up to it. I'm growing and learning as I go, read the books and do the therapy and see and speak to other people in successful relationships. And that's what I loved about the movie. He respects her. She stands for him. He tries to save her, right? He does the man stuff on the beach, right? Get behind the rock or stay with me, blah, blah, blah. And then he jumps out, but she jumps out too and fights. And then she stands up to her mom to be like, don't kill Steve. And then they have this like cute little banter back and forth about his penis and then about the watch, which is great. And then she shows up in that moment with her
penis in the watch.
This is so great. and it's so great. And then she shows up in the uniform and he's like all caught up in it. So, and then when they're on the boat is the really sweet stuff, because he goes, I don't sleep, you got it out of the bonds of wedlock. And you got to remember the time that it is. And she's like, don't just come sleep if you need to sleep. And it's flirtation that's done from two positions of respect for each other. And she leads it. She leads it because she's saying like, I've read the 12 treatises and all this kind of jazz.
We don't need y'all.
It's basically, which was so funny.
We all already knew that.
and I personally believe that's a moment for him that he could have, if he was more bolder, he could have taken advantage of the moment. And when he doesn't, she rolls over. And I love that because that sometimes will happen.
Well, this was the perfect version of Steve Trevor because he wasn't creepy at all. He has been creepy on a couple of versions of him. But he also, my other scene going along with that is when she was like, why are they holding hands? He was like, because they're together. And she grabs his hand. He's like, no. He's like, no, not like that. And And I just love it because it was more of like a friendly
Yes.
relationship there, and he wasn't taking advantage of her.
No, and most people say like the best way to have a strong relationship is to have a friendship first, right? And they develop the friendship first before the feelings show up. And you see the first time the feelings show up when she comes out dressed up from the 262 outfit or whatever moment, and he looks at her and he's like,
right, and he can't stop looking at her.
Yeah, he knows,
Yeah.
right?
He's distracted.
Yeah, he is, and he's got to focus, but he
by
can't.
her womanly ways. Yes.
And then it progresses and she gets mad at him and all this kind of stuff. And you have that. And when they go out in the field, they have those moments. And I love the coming together of the team when they're in the bar. All of that is great. Samir is fantastic. Charlie's so great. I love Ewan Bremer. He's so fantastic. And then the Native American.
The chief.
Yeah, chief guy. He's so good. So all of that. And so you build this team. And it's a ragtag team, but it's so relatable and understandable. And you can get why when she starts to lead, that they are willing to go with her.
Right.
And they don't just all of a sudden become doughy-eyed about her, right? Because especially Charlie, when she tries to soothe him, he's like, get off me, and runs off with his rifle. But Samir is like, I'm both I'm both frightened and aroused. Yeah, it's such a great moment. But then later Samir grows respect. Yes, very much so. And so you see that. And so when Steve lets her down by not stopping Dr. Poison and all of them from shooting that stuff in the town, she's legitimately mad at him. And you buy it because that's what a young person would do, be upset about the first time someone you have idealized lets you down. Right. And so then you see the journey as they come back together. And he says to her, like, I've got to go. Like when he's on the tower and she's killed killed Danny Houston and nothing happens. And she's like, this is what happens, right? You think, and this is what's so great. Once again, it's universal. You get to those moments where you think you kill the bad guy and everything's going to change. You're like, oh wait, nothing changed. Wait, what? No, how is this possible? And it's part of growing up. And it's so great and relatable. But he has his mission. He's not doughy-eyed about her either. He cares about her. He loves her, but he also has something bigger that he has to do. And so he's like, I gotta go. And he leaves her there to have her own contemplative situation. And then it progresses to where they have that moment. And you're right. I cried too. And I didn't cry the first time because I was just savoring everything.
Yeah.
I cried this time because Chris did such a great job in that moment of telling her, I got to do this, blah, blah, blah.
I know.
And then hands her the watch and he says, I love you. It's so truthful.
I wish we had more time.
Yeah, I wish we had more time. Oh, that's the one that got me. When he says, I wish I had more time, I started crying like crazy.
I'll never let go, Jack.
But it works so well. And so when she sacrifices, she understands it. And you buy it because this has been building. And so when she says, I choose love, she understands. And it's so great.
Well, but yeah. And that's also, like I said, like she is the epitome of a superhero because she realized she had a choice. She could stay back and she didn't. She realized, I love that scene with Steve Trevor where he was like, maybe we don't deserve, maybe they aren't good.
Yes.
And it's like, these are humans. Sorry, now you're dealing with humans and they're not. So now you have to make a choice. Do you want to save humanity knowing that it's not all good?
Yeah.
Knowing that mankind does not deserve you.
That every person is both good and bad.
Yes.
That's what he says. Everyone has good and bad in them. Maybe I'm at fault as well.
Right.
And that's
I love that he was, because I do feel like he's also not perfect.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a moment where she was probably, like you said, he left her alone. I didn't even think of that now.
Yeah.
He left her alone for her to contemplate. I don't think I ever really sat in that moment.
Well, this is what happens in relationships, right? When you have that disagreement, sometimes a woman needs, and it's been my experience, a woman needs time to process stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and dudes are like, we just got to go do shit, and we got to go do this stuff. But sometimes you have to kind of walk away and let a woman contemplate stuff, and then they'll come back and talk to you when they're ready. And I thought that was a microcosm of a moment like that in a relationship, which I just was like, oh, shit, I totally get that.
Yeah,
and
it's so exciting, the things you pick up on, like, as you...
Yeah.
Mine was Antiope's death. Mine were a couple that I didn't watch as much in the first part because I was like, what is going on? There's oh my gosh, a battle scene and blah, blah, blah. I want to take everything in. And Antiope was like, these are my only critiques, which aren't even critiques, but I just wanted more of her.
Yeah.
And Etta Candy,
Yeah.
who I also thought
we
was...
definitely wanted more of her.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but with Antiope, I have two favorite moments. One main favorite moment is when she does shield, which I didn't realize that Steve Trevor then did again.
Right.
That I didn't pick up on until the second time, but she's shield. She jumps up and God damn, is she just the biggest badass ever. And she has this bow and arrow and she looks at the dudes And then she gives a little smirk.
It's so
and then
great.
she gives a little, and that GIF is on Twitter, by the way, and I use it frequently when taking down trolls. But she just has a little smirk, and then she lets it go, and she's like, "You're dead."
Yeah,
I love that moment. But then her dying scene, I also got super weepy the second time, and I just was like, "Oh, why is this hurting me so badly?"
Yeah.
But
they build it too because Antiope has been there for her to fill the holes that her mom won't do.
Yes.
Right, training her, and this happens. Look, we have someone that we gravitate to that trains us, and blah blah blah, and our mom cares about us more to save us.
Right.
Other people are training us to get us tougher for the world. That's just how it works. You know,
Right.
she's you know, I don't maybe I'm misspeaking here, but she's almost like the dad figure to the mom figure, that kind of balance. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, you mean like when your mom tells you can't do something, so you go and ask your dad?
Yeah, your dad, right? Exactly. Because you can work your dad a little better.
She had so many iconic like lines as well that I feel like just work in life, where she's like, "You expect the battle to be fair."
Oh, so great.
And I feel like that's just something that we can all take away from,
Yeah.
especially like you and I, like in our careers and stuff. And I feel like it's just never going to be fair.
Yeah.
And I loved that. But also, you know, another scene that I'm thinking about now that got me was Hippolyta saying bye to her.
Yeah.
That did not make me emotional the first time. I'm like, bitch, just let her go. She's got to go save the world. You know, but then probably because I had Emma Fyffe sitting next to me,
of course,
and crying. So that in that scene when she was like talking to her, I was like, oh shit, this is big.
Yeah.
Like she might never see her again.
Right.
Like she might never, like, oh shit, this is actually bigger than I have realized, that her daughter is leaving.
Yeah.
And I don't think it like sat with me as much the second. Yeah. You guys go and see it another time.
Yeah.
Like I swear you will pick up on things and you'll get more emotional about things.
Yeah, and it's a film that you should go see more than once because it's a really well done film. Like aside from whatever your gender politics are or whatever your issues are with like Justice League or Zack or whatever, it's just a fantastic film. It's a fantastic
it's really
as a standalone. Yes.
Yeah.
And it is comparable to First Avenger. I think it's a fair comparison to make those two because they're two incredibly difficult characters to create that you could say, oh, they're kind of cheesy or corny. But Patty Jenkins' quote about the cheesy stuff is so brilliantly said.
Yeah.
So perfectly said, rather. It's very brilliant in that way. And I think it's interesting now in retrospect. Like I was thinking about this today as I was actually coming over here to interview you. I was like, I wonder what Patty Jenkins would have done with a Superman movie. And I like Man of Steel.
Hopefully we might get to see that someday.
Yeah, I like Man of Steel,
Yeah.
but it would be interesting to see these characters in her hands.
Well, that is Superman being peak Superman.
Yeah.
Like in my world, as far as DBZ, we have Goku, and Goku is innocent. Goku is pure. Like
Right.
he's what so many people hate just because he is such a goody two shoe, but he has to be. He is the savior. You have the savior, and then you have the anti-hero.
Right.
And a lot of times people mess up when they try to make them too similar to each other, and that doesn't work. You have Goku and you have Vegeta, and you can't make them too similar. If he is a Goku person, I'm a Vegeta person, but I respect Goku.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like makes him so legendary is that he's willing to give people second and third tries. And that's what makes him a superhero is that he just innately believes in the good of people, even when he shouldn't.
Yeah, and I hope we discover that as we go forward into the DCEU because I loved Man of Steel because I thought it was a brilliant exploration of the possibility of the angst of Superman because he is an alien, because he is excommunicated in a way from humanity always. And so to me, I like this idea because I think Donner skipped those years, and it's convenient to skip those years where I thought Zach went deep into those years to discover what it must be like to feel, because all of us, a lot of us feel kind of out of step with the cool kids or not part of this. And so a lot of us grow up with that feeling. So that's the stuff I related to in Man of Steel. So when he comes later and he becomes heroic and he fights and he has the stuff with his dad, I buy it more. And the love with the Lois, like that scene with Lois before he's about to go fight Doomsday or about to go fight Zod, it's so sweet. It's as tender as the scene in the end of Wonder Woman, in my opinion. And so I love that. And same thing with Captain America at the end when he says, I owe you that dance or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is why we love superheroes, because they're the best of us, but they're relatable to us.
Right.
And these moments are stuff that we would like to experience. We would love to find in its pure state. And I think she achieves that. Patty Jenkins does in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
All over the place.
Right.
Even the ice cream moment, which everyone talks about.
I think she was great keeping the theme throughout the whole film.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you love the battle scene? That we should cover the beginning before we end up here. Like,
okay.
Did you love the battle scenes? Did you thought, did you dig that? Like, was that all so awesome?
Everything about it.
Yeah, right at the beginning. Yeah.
I guess though, I will say I love the Amazons. I love that they used real life athletes.
Yeah. And different nationalities, which I thought was great too.
Oh, and I mean, I just got emotional because it's like I don't always get films where I get to see women doing this stuff.
Yeah.
A warrior race of women taking out men and just training in general was fantastic to see how athletic they were and talented. But I will say that nothing got me the same way the trench scene got me.
No.
Like when she stepped out and I was like, oh no. They even like, it slows down and the music starts. You're like, I know what you're trying to do. It's like Oprah. I'm like, you're trying to make me cry and I know it.
A friend of mine brought up, she's like, where are the nerdy Amazons? Where are the small, like not in shape Amazons?
In the back.
I go, they're Amazons.
Invited out that day. Well, I made a point. I like tweeted. I tweeted something as a joke.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can it be Paradise Island if there's not dogs on it? And I didn't want it getting tweeted to like people and thinking that I'm not a because everyone that follows me knows I'm a Wonder Woman fan. But oh my God, she's taking down this film. But really think about it. Like if it's Paradise, wouldn't dogs be there? Of course they would. Because that is heaven. That trench scene, I can think of. It's great for my acting because I can think about it and I can cry on cue.
Now to think of that, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's just something about her turning around. You're like, oh shit, you got me.
That's when her model thing kicked in too. She was like, because Patty did something with the camera where you focus in on her more and the background kind of fades away. And as she's walking, it's so powerful. And I think that's where
everyone clapped. Yeah. Everyone in my theater both times.
Me too, the
clapped.
first time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's when you see that Gal's training asthma really comes in handy in that moment because and especially in the beginning too, when she's walking by the Louvre, she has a very like stately walk. It's a very it's a very supermodel walk, but it's not like overt. It's very powerful, which is what Wonder Woman is.
You know what? Patty Jenkins was so great because in that Q&A that I sat in on, she was like, some people were telling me don't do this or that, like don't zoom, and like maybe I want to zoom.
Yeah.
And it was so great because I feel like that was what Wonder Woman does, what she wants, and Patty did. She was like, no, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and God bless her because this was her film. She probably was like, you know what, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and she was like, yeah, people said don't do this or that, and I'm gonna do it.
Well, and to DCU's credit and Jeff Johns maybe like and Zach, I'm sure, like they left her alone to do her movie. It seems like, and she made her movie, and I think this is where DCU is going to rise from. And let's end with this question. Like, my opinion is that going forward now, I think they see like let the directors bring their vision to life. Let their ideas come forward. Now, I know Zach did what he did, but it feels like Suicide Squad was a bit of mishmash because they didn't let Ayer do his film. And I wonder, going forward, James Wan, is this going to be now the policy? What do you see going forward for the DCU?
I see that in a lot of things, especially like I was saying, even in the smaller like show that I work on, a lot of times there's a lot of fingers in the pie. I don't know that there's a lot of hens in the house. There's a lot of people putting, we should do this. And a lot of executives that get their fingers all in it and mess it up. And I've seen great scripts turn to garbage quite often. You can actually look sometimes and like, this is a fantastic script. What happened to this show? Or what happened to this movie? And it's because of executive. Like, I feel like it's because executives are like, no, we don't like, or like, let's do this. And it's just too many hens in the hen house. And I feel like if you hire someone, it's because you think that they can do the job.
Right.
So why not let them do the job and do their job?
Right.
Yeah.
Especially,
because then it just comes like a hodgepodge. And I feel like with Patty, you were able to see the theme throughout. And when you have too many people meddling in it, that gets lost.
Right. So what is your hope going forward now for this character? Like, because we've got sequels coming, Justice League.
Yeah.
And I heard this rumor, and I'm going to say this now. It's a rumor. I don't want anybody to tear me apart of it. I heard there's like 65 pages that Joss might shoot. So it might change the Justice League a little bit. So I don't know anything about, but this, I've heard this from a couple of people who are executives in different studios. That's what they're hearing on the ground. So who knows if that's true or not. What do you see going forward with?
I mean, I think you're definitely seeing more. I mean, I think it'll be exciting to see her interact with the other characters more. I think her fight scenes that will also be interesting to see what else she breaks out, because Patty's fight scenes were very grounded. Like she said, she was super influenced by Superman 1 and Indiana Jones, and both of those have like classic action.
Right.
And so I feel like that's going to be a little bit different. I really am more interested to see Wonder Woman 2, which has already been announced that Patty's going to be.
Good.
I just want to know like what era they're gonna take.
I would imagine it would be modern at this point.
You know,
right?
I made a joke, but I kind of want like a 1980s Wonder Woman with like with the bell. No, 1970s would be bell bottoms. 1980s with like the little short and like the roller skating. Yeah. Who am I thinking of from Tiffany Amber Thiessen?
Oh yeah. You say By the Bell and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want that. Oh man, just because I want to cosplay as that regularly. I think I could probably cosplay at Comic-Con.
Right.
I know it's going to be modern, but I really wish that there's so much you can do with her. I understand that like continuity reasons and stuff that they probably want to make her modern, but I would love it if she was in a different era.
Patty said they tried to get Linda on.
I know.
So she said we tried and tried and tried.
What happened?
But we're definitely not out of it. Yeah, I wonder if maybe there just wasn't a part that made sense that wouldn't like take you out of the film.
Yeah.
I wonder because it's Linda.
She could have been an Amazon.
She probably could have been. Yeah. I mean, I'm certainly there was conversation to have her be.
She could have been in that high court or whatever.
Hippolyta rather. Yeah. I'm sure
that's so interesting because to me when I saw that I was like, oh, did Linda just like maybe not? I don't know. Yeah. There's no way that she didn't want to be in this.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah,
there's all kinds of machinations when it's involved, because of course Linda, just because we haven't seen Linda, be a series regular on a number of TV shows or anything, it doesn't mean that she does still have pride as an actress, right? She's still successful as a singer and a performer all over the world.
You know what I realized? The tower scene where she like takes out the guy in the bell tower.
Yeah.
What I wanted is Linda Carter to be like in one of those shops, just look out and give her a little wink. Just look out and be like, I gotcha. Like that's what, we didn't even talk about the bell. Yeah, that bell tower scene.
Oh man!
Just like give her just look at her, give her a thumbs up. That's what I wanted.
Yeah, those are great scenes.
Someone please go make a cut of that and add that in there.
The fight scenes with the German guys in the factories and then in the bell tower, just great stuff, great movement, and I love that they didn't use the theme song more than twice in the movie.
Yeah,
that was great because I know some people have had issues with theme song. I don't mind it. I
love it.
Right, but some people have had issues, so they used it only a couple times and they use it in the right places. It's just such a fantastic.
Somebody said they made it their ringtone. I'm like, oh, that's such a good idea. I need to do that.
All right, so there we go. So we'll see what happens going forward. So Danny's on the side of doing a period piece again with Wonder Woman 2.
You want it.
I like the 80s idea.
80s,
because I grew up in
60s,
80s, so to me, I'm cool with
Woodstock? Now I'm like
60s is possible.
Oh man,
they did it
Diana
with X-Men.
trying mushrooms. You guys don't want to see this? Come on,
they're not going to give Diana mushrooms.
Okay, so even though this isn't going to happen, now you guys will not be able to stop thinking that she was alive during these eras.
That's true.
So she was alive during these decades. Yeah. So she definitely could have been a hippie Woodstock baby.
Yeah, but when did she stop and then come back? Because in Justice League, because in BVS, she comes back.
Right.
So I wonder, because that's them kind of messing with Kingdom Come a little bit, but I wonder when she comes back.
Yeah.
Like what pushed her down and what makes her come back. So we'll probably get the story where she... where she leaves. Might be the sequel. Yeah,
that'll be interesting.
So that would be a period piece, not necessarily modern, and so it could kill two birds with one stone.
Hell yeah!
So who knows? Anyway, all right. Well, Danny, thank you so much for taking the time.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. This was a great conversation.
I love talking about my girl.
Yeah, and tell people where they can find you, please.
I'm at Ms. Dani Fernandez on that's MS and then Dani DaniFernandez because Dani Fernandez is a Spanish boy band singer who blocked me when I asked if I could buy his this was 2 years ago. I was like, no, I wanted to buy it. I would have given you okay, you blocked me. And then the other Dani Fernandez is a magician.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think he does actually have more, he has a big YouTube channel, I think. So anyways, long story short, I'm at Ms. Dani Fernandez on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm also over at Hyper RPG. I have a Dragon Ball Super after show on Tuesday nights, and then a Valiant Comics RPG show that's sponsored by them on Wednesdays.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this segment of the Outlaw Nation podcast. That was Dani Fernandez. So much fun. And go see Wonder Woman. I'm sure it's at your local multiplex in every form it comes out in, 70 millimeter, 3D, what have you, IMAX. And we'll be right back after this musical break. Wow. What a great interview with Dani. I really appreciated her coming on. And, she's got that unique energy. Dani is so great to be around. She's just got this incredibly large smile and great, fun aura and presence to be around. And when she gets into things that she really gets into, you see her nerding out. You see her geeking out. It's so much fun to watch someone nerd out and geek out about stuff because you do that. And so it's nice to see someone else do that. And you feel a real connection and you understand why we're all in this business doing what we're doing and having a lot of fun sharing our love of geeky, nerdy stuff with each other. So really great to hear her thoughts on Wonder Woman, her thoughts on her career, where she wants to go, what she wants to do. So I'm in support of her and hopefully, all the stuff that she wants to get on, she'll get on and have a fun life doing that and writing and what have you. So I just really appreciate her coming on and hopefully, and I know she'll be on down the road when the situation calls for it. So I look forward to that as well. Well, that's the show. I don't want to go too much longer on anything else. Like I said, it's I already mentioned at the beginning of the show how it's been a crazy week, and I've talked all about all the stuff there. Just know that there's a lot going on that I can't quite talk about just yet, but it's going to be happening. It's going to be happening. I want to hear your thoughts. This is something that I'm trying to be better at on the show, is like saying, hey, what do you guys think about the stuff I talked about on the show? What do you guys think about the interview I just did with Dani? What do you think about what Dani had to say? What do you think about stuff I talked about earlier in the show? Like, leave me your comments on YouTube. Leave me your comments on iTunes or tweet at me. You guys can always follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at The Rocha Says, TheRochaSays. You can follow me there. I'm trying to get to 20,000 on Twitter and 20,000 on Instagram. So let's make it happen. Maybe someday I'll get a blue check by my name. You never know. You never know. So it'd be great to have you guys who listen follow me as well, because trust me, I try to tweet and talk about everything. I try to interact with everybody who tweets at me. I'm very good about that. While it's still not that big of a following, I want to be able to keep doing that until it gets kind of unwielding about it. So we'll see. Anyway, that's the stuff the social media plugs. Yeah, do that. Follow me. Every Friday at 10 a.m. on Collider Movie Talk, watch us talking about movies and what have you. And of course, the Cinephiles, which is really starting to pick up in terms of our response from the fans and the people listening every week. We keep increasing our numbers every week and our downloads every week, which is really great. It's so nice to know people are discovering the show still and going back and downloading old episodes. Like our Raiders of the Lost Ark episodes gets downloaded like 100 times a week every week. It's amazing if people go back and find those shows and listen to them, listen to us break down movies. We just dropped... Well, we will be dropping Blade Runner on Friday with Scott Mantz. We're going to do it together. Scotty came on, and it's a pretty long episode. It's over 2 hours. We just broke that movie down. We had our thoughts about it. Scott had his theory about it, which is really interesting theory. So I want to hear what you guys think about that. Steve had his theories. I had mine, and we broke down the movie. And of course, as only Scott and I can, there were some moments that we got into it a little bit of fun, and Steve as well. Steve got into it too. So it was a lot of fun talking about Blade Runner, one of our favorite films all around for the Cinephiles, including Scott, which is his favorite film I think ever. That's awesome. And we started a Patreon page. So listen, if you're listening and you don't know this, we started a Patreon page last week. The cost of doing the show has kind of got a little high with the time constraints and the things we have to buy and get to be able to do the show. So we thought we'd start a Patreon page, see if anybody wanted to donate to help us kind of offset the costs. So if you would like to donate, there's a number of levels that you can donate on when you go to the Patreon page. It's www.patreon.com/the Cinephiles with no dash. And you can see us there, and you can see the prizes and the stuff we have available for people who donate. We're talking about like giveaways, or like you guys can pick a movie. If you donate a certain amount for 6 months in a row, you can pick a movie that we talk about. It could be anything, within the parameters of what we've set out already the show to be. You can also get a lot of things from people who are going to be on the show. We might even have like guests stay after for an extra 15-20 minute Q&A where you guys send in the questions and we pick some to ask the guest. So there's all kinds of things that are available there. So please go there and donate what you can. If you can, and obviously I'm not going to know if you don't, because I'm not going to be like, upset about it. It just would appreciate it. So it'd be great if you guys go on there and take a look at it and see if you wanted to donate. I think that's all the stuff I'm doing currently. The Schmodown is coming up. Like I said, get ready. The stuff, everything's happening. I've been training. I'm ready to go. Let's make it happen. I do want to say one last thing. Remember what I say every week on this podcast. I understand. I get it. For those of you that are struggling with something, for those of you who are fighting through your daily lives, to put stuff together, to follow your dreams, to just even survive the day, survive the hour, survive the minute. Remember what I say every time. Do the work. Fight for your life. The Outlaw is with you. I'm with you. And I believe in you. And I did it, so you can too. I did it. You can too. Until they ring the bell, the round isn't over. Until they ring that last bell, the fight isn't over. So keep fighting. Let this motivate you to get out of bed. Let this motivate you to go and take a walk, or to go run, or to go to the beach, or to go someplace that you enjoy going to, so that you can feel happy again. Do what you need to do. Your life is precious. So go and enjoy your life. Whether you believe in God or not, you've got a life. Whether you believe the energy, the universe, God, whatever, gave you a soul, gave you a life, it's yours to live. So get out there and keep fighting. Do it intelligently, do it respectfully, but get out there and keep fighting for your life. All right? All right. Outlaw out for the week. We will talk to you all again in 7 days. Take care.
Y'all dealing with a beast. If you wanna come and get it, let the Outlaw get you out your seats. You want sports talk, politics? He don't give a shit. And Rocha says speaks, follow it. About to issue y'all a masterclass. Fella pass, Rocha verbal assassin. Podcast, candy ass. Gravitas, bitch, get information. It's your boy John Rocha. Welcome to the Outlaw Nation.